welcome you to MLS Round Table, presented by our good friends at Target in this edition, and it's a three-parter, so you know it's going to be really good. We're going to tackle the debate of what makes an MLS legend, who should be an MLS legend, and who should not be considered an MLS legend. Again, three parts. It's a lot to define and break down, and we have some legends with us to discuss this. Simon Borg, legend, right?
Yes,
Done, right off the bat.
Please.
Editor-in-chief of MLS Soccer. The guy next to you, my wife is jealous because I spend so much time with you and communicate more with you than I do with her. Alexi Lalas, Dwayne Rosario. Hold on a second. Did you guys see this? You see how many words there are for Dwayne?
That's not fair.
I'm going to get to it. Former MLS MVP, two-time MLS Cup MVP, four-time MLS Cup champion, two-time Goal of the Year scorer. Help me.
It's a six-time Best 11, seven-time MLS All-Star, four-time Canadian Player of the Year, Canada's all-time leading scorer.
What haven't you done, man?
I've never sat on this panel before.
There we
Did you win the CONCACAF Gold Cup as well?
Yes, 2001.
Yeah.
Hey, that was our pride right there. That was the highlight.
Also joining us, our good friend Herculez
What are Simon and I
Gomez,
doing here, by the way?
former MLS player, former U.S. men's national team player, current wonderful talent with ESPN. All right, let's get to the topic of what makes a legend. Again, MLS, relatively brief history. It's still a baby. It's an infant when you compare it to all the other professional entities out there in the U.S. So what factors, I'll start with you, Simon, what factors do you use to say this is a legend, this isn't?
When we have the legend conversation, to me, it's similar to having the Hall of Fame. So an MLS Hall of Fame, what do you go by? The number one criteria for me is players within their era. During the time they played, during the time they were in action, did they dominate? Did they stand out from their peers?
What are you calculating in your brain, Lex?
Do I remember you? Do I know who you are? Did you resonate? Honestly, for me, it doesn't have anything to do with stats. It doesn't have anything to do with how long you played. It doesn't have anything to do with trophies that you won or how many individual awards that you had. It's, did you have moments that were memorable? You as a person and as a player, many years later, ultimately, were you memorable in terms of what you did on and off the field for whatever time it was?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's the impact that you've had while you were playing. Your impression, what kind of impression did you leave on the players? What kind of impression did you leave on the sports media? What kind of impression did you leave on the fans? And it's a question that it surrounds a lot of debate because everyone sees the legend title differently. But I think it's what have you left in people's mind? What kind of impression have you left in people's mind, regardless of the statistics?
Lexi's absolutely right. It's the feeling, the emotion a fan feels, what they remember you for. I was an LA Galaxy fan before I was an actual player. And I remember, Lexi, was it Fullerton? You running up the Ivy, that little Ivy patch after scoring a goal in the Open Cup. I remember those things, the way you make a fan feel. For me, those are legendary moments. Those are impactful. This is something that leaves, sticks with the fan, that leaves them an impression.
It doesn't even have to be big. It can be something little. For example, even at this table, this is legendary. This is creating in this little moment. That's legendary.
I'm curious though. You talk about impact, you talk about impression, but part of that is time. For how long did you have to make that type of impression to be considered? Because we've had some greats in this league, but it's been short little bursts. Guatemala Blanco, somebody like that, or somebody who's been able to sustain it over a duration.
Both is not to be discredited. I think what Blanco's brought to the time he was here, he brought excitement. He filled stadiums while he was here. He played in All-Stars. He had impact in All-Star. I think it was an MVP, and which I was questionable because I won't score the winning goal. But he's left impressions, in MLS and in the public's eye and the viewer's eye across all the fan bases in MLS. So can we discredit because he hasn't been here as long as maybe myself or Landon or something like that? No, I think his value, what he's brought to MLS is something to be spoke about for many years to come.
He's a club legend, no doubt. We're in Chicago. I think Chicago Fire fans will remember him. He's a club legend for as short a time as he was here. Is he a league legend? He did a lot of things that you'll remember.
Legendary moments.
Yeah. He had moments.
Who can not forget the Guatemala when he picks the ball up between two legs and jumps over two players, or the free kick he dropped. Yeah, the free kick he dropped over Kevin Hartman in LA. It was like 30-something yards out. It's legendary moments. I remember being in the wall one time. It was San Jose versus LA, last game of the season. and Rosario, I'm in the wall, and he hits a free kick, and I just turn, and I'm hoping it doesn't hit me in the face. I'm like, oh, it's nowhere close to the goal. It was 4 feet away from the wall, and then just curls into the upper corner.
You were in the wall?
I was in the wall. I had the best view out of anybody. Turned around and saw it right into the Well, Kevin Hartman had the best view of anybody. But it's legendary moments that stay with the fan.
I feel like we're gravitating to this moments. That really wasn't in the rundown. I think a lot of people wanted to load it up with numbers and MLS Cup titles and goals of the year.
Unfair how young the league is and how the duration of some players' career.
For example, I started in the league when I was 26 years old, okay? And because it came about at that time. I benefited from already being known beforehand, and so I had that established, and I didn't play in the league for very long. Ultimately, it ended up being 7 years, but I'm associated with MLS because I was there from the start. I get the benefit of the doubt because I was there from the start, but it is moments. It's little things that you do. It has nothing, for me, it has nothing to do with
What was your legendary moment?
You want me to defend my legendary status?
I'm curious how you view
I don't view myself as an MLS legend. I would view myself as a
U.S. soccer legend.
If I'm going to view myself as anything.
Do we need MLS legends? Because it's so young. Should we have legends already?
Any successful sports needs that because you need to identify with the people who helped build the sport and to where it is today. And I think that's what makes this conversation very refreshing and very imperative because I think, yes, it's been around for such a short time, but I think there's so many people that have impacted this league from its inaugural season, like Lalas and other players that need that credit. And don't get me wrong, I think stats and I think stats and trophies do have some part to play in it. But if they had impactful moments within those championships or within those special moments at whether the club experienced it.
How many legends do we have at the table right now? Are we looking at 2 legends?
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Yeah. I know you guys don't have a vote, but I think you would vote for Dwayne. Dwayne, you'd vote for Lex?
Yeah.
No, I would vote for Dwayne.
Okay, so we have 2 legends. So that was part 1 of this 3-part conversation. The next part, it gets good. We're going to name who the legends in MLS are. Part 3, we're going to look ahead and what potential legends are lurking out there. So don't miss episodes 2 and 3 coming your way soon.